Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk more Doom Patrol. We're on Season 1, Episode 2. It is called Donkey Patrol, so full spoilers if you have not seen this episode. This just keeps on trucking, man. I was looking at the ratings for this, and it's all 8.7, 8.5, 8.8. So this, at least on IMDb, the rating is pretty high for this show. And I can see why, because this episode, if I was unsure about the first episode, which I wasn't, but if I had been, this one would have won me, right all over again. Because right from the get-go, okay, we have Alan Tudyk's recap. His recap is entertaining. A lot of shows do the, previously on Lost, or, previously on Arrow, or whatever. And they just go over the shit that happened. In this, we get an actual written performance from Alan Tudyk, who is our leaf on the wind. But it's its own thing. Even this, it's very meta. It's very breaking the fourth wall. We find out, Mr. Nobody is quite aware of everything that's going on. Even the fact that he's on a television show in a DC universe. I love this. But like I said, nobody does stuff like this. This is really cool. This is really unusual. This is really unique. And nobody does what Alan Tudyk can do in this. Giving everybody that sarcastic tone, that playful tone with the menace over it. And this is just a recap. I want to see more stuff like this from DC Universe. Every show needs to not be like this, but be written. This is how good the writing needs to be on all the shows that they put out. If it's not as good as this, they should be throwing it in the garbage. Because even when we get back to the regular episode, right? We have a very it's basically the end of this town's world, the end of the world as we know it, right? At least for this town. And there is a talking cockroach that is very happy that it's the end of the world. The cockroach is voiced by Revenge of the Nerds and Moonlighting and Better Off Dead's Curtis Armstrong. He's been in everything. He was on New Girl as the principal. They get that guy to be the voice of this cockroach that is just telling everybody it's the end times and it's all for, you guys are all fucked. And then gets pulled into the vortex too. So I'm hoping that cockroach, if they cast Curtis Armstrong, I hope that there's more of it. And more of things like the donkey. Just so bizarre, such original, unique ideas. And I'm sure that, this is all taken from the comic, I'm sure. But this is Legion level cool. This is Legion level weird. This is Legion level production. This is challenging the audience to accept some crazy notions and new ways of doing things. So God help me I hope it doesn't get canceled. I know there's a season 2 coming. I hope that it just keeps going because I can't wait to keep going on this. But yeah, right off the bat, I wrote down that Alan Tudyk is Deadpooling the shit out of this because he's talking about the DC Universe and the comics and the movies and everything. He is in a couple of sentences doing a Wade Wilson impersonation, but as his own thing. Totally aware, kind of like a Dr. Manhattan kind of character. So I'm assuming that his powers are basically reality bending. He can, but if he's so all powerful, we'll get to it. Because right now he just seems like this very, I guess that's part of his, the way he talks and his personality is probably a way of hiding his insecurities. But again, that's jumping ahead. Jane, played by Diane Guerrera, who, again, she really shines in this episode. This is a big shining episode for her and for Jovan Wade, who plays Cyborg. But she jumps into the vortex because the Chief's car flies into it. And so they're all like basically left there trying to figure out what is going on to varying degrees of cussing. Brendan Fraser swears a lot. Mr. Robot has got a dirty mouth. I love him. But Larry says that we're responsible because we tried to live in this world and it's our fault. And Larry and Rita to me seem like two people that have been kept away from the world for way too long. They're shut-ins. They're almost agoraphobes because they're the way they look and the way their powers are and how confusing they are. That it's real easy for them to just go, you know. But like, why haven't they just decided to check out? That's the one thing. I mean, I'm sure maybe they tried. I'm sure Larry tried probably a bunch of times to kill himself, and that thing just kept bringing him back like fucking Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. And I don't know how Rita would kill herself. Stick herself down the disposal chute? I don't know. But wouldn't she just probably come back together again? But anyway, we go to Detroit, and a very helpful ATM. And I'm thinking, what is this? What's going on? This is pretty funny. This is pretty clever. The ATM is talking to the guy that's trying to rob it. It's really funny. And then I realize it's Cyborg. And I got to tell you, that is one cool introduction to a character that he's been around now, right? I mean, forget about the comics, but like in general pop culture, you know, with the Teen Titans show and Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans Go to the movies and Justice League and all this stuff, people know who Victor Stone is. People know who Cyborg is, and this right here is the best version I've seen since the comic, since the original Teen Titans comic. This is the best iteration of Victor Stone I've ever seen. And it's such a cool introduction because it made me think what's going on with the ATM thing. I thought that was a really, really clever idea. Also, the fact that he's a person with practical effects on him. And guess what? They look fine. You didn't have to have a giant CGI suit to make him look good. All you needed was a good actor who's written properly, some nice practical effects, a few visual effects that were fantastic and not over the top because I guess, you know, he's in the beginning stages. He hasn't gone full on what he becomes later in like the comics or in that freaking mess of a Zack Snyder movie. He's just a guy with some other stuff going on. We don't know his full potential, but it's really cool and it works. It proves that it can work. He's in a fucking jumpsuit. And you know that he's really powerful even if you can't see all the moving parts. It's less is more. And it works. Plus you get an actor who I've never seen this guy before. And if I have, I don't remember what he was in. But he's fantastic. He doesn't come off as, I don't know, like how I've seen kind of Cyborg portrayed before. He's a real heroic type of character. You know, he's talking about why he does this. And he seems so genuine without being cheesy, schmaltzy, or arrogant. And I just really, really like the choice that they did here. And this actor is nailing it. We also get some other things in here with Silas Stone, his dad. We get the whole thing with Star Labs. We get the whole Argus feed, so we know that that's a thing with, you know, with Amanda Waller. And this, I just had to write down, this looks better than the fucking movie. Also, I guess this is in some sort of universe, some shared universe, because the Justice League is in it. He mentions it to his dad that in a few years he could try out for the Justice League. And with Argus, you know, like I said, there's Amanda Waller. There's Star Labs, which means there's Flash. They even mention the Flash in this, so the Justice League are around. Which I guess that does mean that Titans is probably in this universe. Swamp Thing would be in this universe. Maybe when the Titans come on this show, they'll be written better. They still will look the same and have the same actors that I don't like, but maybe this will work. I guess, you know, I don't want to spend my whole time, I don't want to spend time talking about this great show, dissing another show that I don't even watch. Negative Man, he decides to leave town, but he's finding it very hard when the other part of him inside just keeps. I'm gonna have to pause this. All right, we're back. Because my camera's been acting up so much, I've been having to pause it and things like that to keep the stream going actually well, so that it doesn't turn into a mess. But anyway, it keeps leaving his body whenever he wants to leave somewhere. So it's basically telling him, we can't leave. This is where we're supposed to be. He goes through it a ridiculous amount of time for a comedic effect. Maybe went on a little bit too long, but it was still pretty funny. I loved it just about every time that they did it. Also, the music again in this. Some really weird, like when they catch up to the donkey and Cliff trying to catch the donkey, and the weird music that choices. It sounded very Danny Elfman, but even better than that, like a synth, somebody doing like a copy of like a Danny Elfman synth stuff. It was really great. Plus, like later on, we got David Bowie, but the music is just so unique sounding, and I just love it. Cyborg and Robot Man meet, but they don't meet cute. They don't like each other. I can see them butting heads quite a bit. And Jane gets puked out, or as I would like to say, reverse swallowed out. And she's pretty much all over the place. Whatever happened to her has kind of shook her up. And we're getting to see all sorts of different personalities, which is great. I was kind of already, the Hammerhead character was wearing thin, but we get to see the one that talks like a ghost and does the weird, like the dead in his arms. You get to see Baby Doll in this. And then later, I mean, we get to see so much more. And Robot starts to kind of, he doesn't know how to help her, so he looks into the tapes and he starts to see, the different personalities. One that moves fast, one that sits on the wall, all this stuff, and then they get to Katie. And Cyborg's talking to Baby Doll about Katie. Katie saw something. Katie doesn't like to talk, and Robot realizes which personality Katie is and tries to save Cyborg because Katie is the one that looks like the Human Torch. And she comes flying out, and it's pretty crazy. Then we get to meet Lucy Fugue, who's like has electric powers. This is amazing. I mean, this is amazing. And I wrote down, this is more like it. Let us see all the different sides of her personality. The one that has the words come out that turn into blades. That is amazing. That is so freaking cool. I love this. I don't want to just keep gushing, but it really is really good. And we get to learn about the underground. The underground is basically where all her personalities are at and stored. By choice, it appears that they kind of take up different areas of her subconscious, which is a very David Haller kind of thing. There's a lot of like Legion type stuff in this. We find out the donkey's a door. It even has a keyhole. I love Rita's speech about what it would take, if you put me in a trash bag and all this stuff, and just going harder and harder. And his Cyborg's response is just, would that work? And I laughed out loud. I thought that was hilarious. That line delivery of him just letting her speak and freak out and just giving her a flat, straight answer. Would that work? I love that. When they try to get her in there, they all get sucked in. It's all really cool. They come out into this other universe where Mr. Nobody has already headphones put out for them. Again, this is like a whole other reality, kind of an astral plane maybe type of thing. Almost thought it was like hell. But he's got their headphones with their names on it, and it's, again, the narrator. The narrator, I think is what he says at one point. Where he's literally narrating every single moment that happens, whether they like it or not, pushing the story forward, literally pushing the story forward, making them move, giving them taking them down nostalgia, loss and futility, showing Rita's side of things, of how, she could have been a star, and how Larry, if he had done things went differently, he pulls back on the stick. And poor Victor just has to relive his moment of his accident that his mother died in that left him, completely screwed up. But I love this. It's all a trap. He's like, and she's walking right into it. And Larry's, the spirit or whatever it is, the force that's inside him actually comes out, and all of a sudden this all stops. That Mr. Nobody says, "Oh well, your little guest, your little stowaways, like, stopped me from doing what I really want." So that's really interesting because when they do get out, all right, and the whole town comes out, and then the poor donkey explodes, which is, come on, I wanted to see more of that donkey, man. I like the idea of this donkey door. That Cyborg's point of saying that he's scared of us because what he's doing, threatening and all this stuff and not doing, that's not omniscient. That's insecurity. They're allowed to say smart things on this show. The characters are allowed to come to smart conclusions. Episode 2. They have smart things to say. They have things worked out. They're not all struggling for fucking 22 episodes like The Flash. I can't run that fast. Oh yeah, I guess I can. Holy shit. And in one episode, right? One episode. I care and like Cyborg more as a character in this than in any iteration that I've seen since the comics. And even in the comics, I'm not 100% a Cyborg fan, but I'm a fan of this guy. I'm a huge fan of this Cyborg. Because I actually believe what he's saying. And he's written to be like the leader, and you can tell that his father is talking about where he could be and all the important things that he can do, and then he'd get an upgrade and stuff like that, and then it shows like the real true heroic side of him, that he's not chasing that, he's doing what's right, not letting his dad just control his life. Now whether or not that's going to turn on him, I have a feeling that something's going to happen about that. I think Daddy's not going to be too happy with his son continuing doing stuff that he doesn't agree with. He probably knows more than he's letting on, because this whole thing is about not finding Dr. Conrad. Right? That's his name? Or Chief. Finding the Chief. Let's just say that so that I don't get the name wrong. So there's probably more that's going to happen out of that. We see that Larry now is trying to work on his communication skills, leaving the note out so that this thing and him can get a dialogue working. This is what I'm talking about. I think we're going to see the development of the powers in this season, and I really am excited. Normally, I find this kind of stuff tedious. Like, oh, why can't they just jump into it? But I really want to see them grow. This is the first season. This is the time to do it. Let's get everybody to come together, and by the end of the first season they should be a cohesive team that knows a little bit more than they did when they got out, or when we first started. And that's all I'm really asking for from this first season. I can see us kind of having a Buffy season 1 finale where we take on like the big bad and maybe it looks like we win or sort of win. But I would like to see, this feels like a season that could have a little resolution, and I'd like to see shows continue to do that. A lot of the CW shows have a season arc that has a beginning and end. It's just they're not very good anymore. It's the same shit over and over. And anyway, the last bit of this is Jane painting, and it looks like she's painting the future, and it kind of looked like some of the Titans were in that picture too. But I'm not 100% on that. So Jane, one of Jane's personalities, can paint the future. That was like a character on fucking Heroes, wasn't it? I don't care. This is way better than fucking Heroes already, and it's only 2 episodes in. That's right, it's better than Heroes, and it's only 2 episodes in. Because Heroes should have been called Powers. But anyway, fantastic second episode. Again, I can't believe how much I like Cyborg. I can't believe how much I'm really keep digging Jane. I'm glad they dug more into her story and spent less time focusing on Robot. I think that everybody in this needs to get like way more fleshed out. It's nice to see that they filmed more stuff with Matt Bomer. I'm really excited to see more of his backstory. And like, what was with his friend? Did he get like the Dr. Manhattan radiation treatment kind of situation going on? I don't know, but I'm really excited to find out. So if you liked this review, please hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, all that rigmarole. You can find me on Twitter at YESSHH8. That is Yesh8. Otherwise, you can type in Rob Stone, aka Smirking on Reviews. Find me there on Twitter. Otherwise, have a great night, everybody. I want to get to the next episode as soon as I can. I'd like to get 2 or 3 more done by the end of tomorrow because I'm really digging this show. So I hope you guys are too. And hopefully this sounds and looks a little bit better because I am using a new kind of software, but we'll see. I don't know what right now it's all fine. I haven't uploaded it. By the time you get this and hear this, it will be uploaded, and hopefully it sounds better. So anyway, have a great night, and we'll see you next time.